Welcome everybody to this call. This call is really exciting. I had a person reach out to me who said, "Hey Trent, on the next big science call that you do, can we have the topic be cardiovascular health? I want to understand my blood work and improve cardiovascular health." And on tonight's call, we're going to do that. And on tonight's call, we have a really, really special story that I'm very excited for you to hear. This is a call that we do every single week. And we always have amazing professionals and experts on this call here to answer your questions, here to help you have a healthier, better life naturally. Last week, we had Dr. Midgen Brown from Toronto on the call. This is an endocrinologist who has basically taken the rest of her career and dedicated it to helping people get off drugs. How many endocrinologists do you know that go live on social media every day helping people get off their medications? I don't know very many. Truly, truly special. And she was on our call and it was fabulous. Mind Body Brittany Zedick hosted last week's call. And my name is Trent. I'll start off by just introducing myself. This is really cool because there's 200 people already on the call. This is going to be a really exciting call. And if there's somebody that you love, you care about their metabolic health, and you want them on tonight's call, now would be the time to invite them to the call. If they miss my part, that's okay. But if they miss our story and if they miss Lindsay Venn tonight, they're going to really miss out. So my name is Trent, and this is a picture of me and my dad. 7 years ago, my dad died from stage 4 colon cancer. My dad was insulin resistant. He was pre-diabetic. He had high blood pressure, high cholesterol. He had psoriasis all over his body. He struggled with weight control pretty much my entire life and was the best guy I know with the world's worst diet. And when my dad got sick, I panicked. I freaked out. And I started to study and read everything that I could just to find something, some, breakthrough research, some glimmer of hope to save my terminal father, right? And as I went down the rabbit hole on metabolic health, the things that I learned, the things I was seeing, I couldn't unsee. And I've now made it my life's mission to spread awareness about how to fix a lot of metabolic health problems naturally. And that is why we do these calls. We started these calls with a small handful of people, and now there are 220 people watching this call live and thousands more that will watch this call through various restreams. We want to give you a value-packed call, so let's get to it. The first thing that we like to do on these calls every week is we like to bring somebody on who has been following the protocol. Now, this is a person that was a complete stranger to me up until Saturday. So 3 days ago, I met this wonderful woman, Brienne, and we met in Nashville, Tennessee, of all places. Anyways, I ran into Brienne and was talking to Brienne, and she was telling me what this protocol has done for her and for her family. And it was very moving and touching to me. And I want you to hear the story from her. But when we started doing this, this is why we did this. We wanted to impact people at the family level. We wanted to make life better for families. And this has been a very good thing for Brienne. So, Brienne, maybe start off, tell us who you are, where you're from. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Um, well, my name's Brienne, and I am from Indiana, almost to the Kentucky border. um, but I am a very busy mom of 5 kids that all play all kinds of sports. So we are always all over the place. I work 2 jobs. I am an assistant teacher, and I also do hair.
Okay,
So
so you're
that
a
is
teacher,
the short of
a
me.
hairdresser, a hairdresser, a mother of five, a sport
Yeah.
mom, right? So very, very busy.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
maybe tell us, I don't know, how long have you been on the protocol?
I started in January.
Okay. So, a year ago, let's say back in November of 2023, tell us kind of where you were at with your health prior to starting the protocol.
Um, I just I was feeling miserable, the brain fog. I mean, I even asked my mom at one point, like, is this a sign that I'm gonna have Alzheimer's? Because I was so scared I couldn't remember anything. Um, Depression, anxiety, And just going to the doctor, she was like, "Oh, everything looks good." But yet I could see my labs just gradually getting worse. And I hated pictures. I hated them. I ended up getting diagnosed with sleep apnea and also had acid reflux on the daily and migraines. My migraines were out of control. I mean, I think I honestly have had about three a week. And
Okay. Sorry to interrupt. If you're on the call, if you or somebody in your family has migraine headaches, if you suffer from brain fog, if you have sleep apnea, if you have maybe even a CPAP machine, right? Or if you have any of these problems, maybe just put a yes in the chat. If you or somebody in your household has ever dealt with this, I want people to see how widespread and common what Brienne is explaining really is. So, Brienne, tell us if you don't mind, what were
yeah,
some of your personal struggles? I mean, for me, I would overeat. I would eat past the point of being full when there was good food around. For you, what were some of the things that you struggled with?
um, I loved my soft drinks. That was a big one. Go in the morning, take my kids to school, and then I would go get me McDonald's or something for breakfast with my soft drink. Um, have a soft drink at lunch, leave school, get a soft drink, have one at dinner, have one after dinner, and the sweets. The soft drinks and the sweets, those are my major downfalls.
Hey,
So,
well, I mean, I think those are things that we all resonate with very, very deeply. So you're not alone there. Tell us what has happened to you on this protocol so far. And then, if you don't mind, I would love to get into your parents' stories as well as you tell your
yeah,
own. And then, if it's okay, as you're talking, I may start bringing up some pictures of you and your mom and your dad showing what has happened.
yeah. So right away, the brain fog was one of the first things that I noticed was going. I was just like, holy cow, like I can think and I can finish a thought. And the depression and anxiety was another first. So I got off all of those medicines. My migraines I'm no longer taking the preventative medicine for it. And I think I have maybe one a month now, and they're not near as severe. So, like, used to, I have to go to bed, just put an ice pack on my head, go to bed. I was done. Now it's like I can just take the medicine and keep on going, and I'm good. And which is huge with all my kids. My sleep apnea is gone. The acid reflux gone. Um, what else? I'm 1 pound away from 60 pounds.
59
So
pounds.
that's my 59. Yeah. And I think like all over, I think I've lost over 45 inches all over. So
That
I
is
like to measure.
incredible. And the chat is giving you some love right now. There's a lot of people that are like, no way, this is awesome. So,
Yeah.
I mean, congratulations, Brand. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Tell us. So, let me just recap that. You've reduced your migraine medication. You're off your anxiety or depression medication. You're sleeping better. Your brain fog is gone. No more sleep apnea. No more acid reflux. You're down 59 pounds and down 45 inches on measurements in terms of how
Yeah.
close, et cetera, right?
Yeah.
And what about your parents?
So whenever I started and I saw how quickly things were going for me, the first thing I said was, I have to put my mom on this. I have to. And I didn't give her a choice. I just bought her a box and I was like, here you go. And I had her do it because I want my mom around. I want my mom around for my kids and their kids. And I could see how much pain she was in. And I don't think she realized how much pain she was in. But she has lupus, Sjogren's, she's diabetic. She would want to take naps all the time. Her feet hurt. Her feet hurt all the time. So it was like she would go do something and then she'd have to go sit down and take a break. And her feet were always so swollen that like even just putting shoes on hurt because of the inflammation. And I said, I gotta help my mom. So I put her on it and Oh, she also had a wound on her leg where she had to have a wound vac that was not healing. So that was another big concern of mine with her being diabetic and everything, that it wasn't really healing. And so she started, and she is, let's see, I had to write it down. Where is it? She's gone down from like a 1X to a large now, from like a size 20 to a 16. She doesn't have the pain in her feet anymore, her swelling. I told her, I was like, Mom, you have ankles. Like, I was so excited for her because you can just see the inflammation was the first to start going on her. And she doesn't take naps. And she is just, you can tell, so much happier. Um,
I'm going to bring up some
so
pictures while you're talking. This is so cool. I love it.
yeah.
So Brienne was willing to share some photos with me. This is you before and after, right?
And I love my face in this picture because honestly, that's how I felt all the time. Like the joy of everything was just like drained, and it was just like go through the motions, go through the motions. And now it's like I enjoy every moment, and food no longer has control over me. So,
And this is your mom.
yeah. So yeah, you can see, like, I mean, you can see her eyes in this one because the inflammation is all gone. So
And this is you
she's
again.
and my face was all swollen there. Yeah.
And tell us about your dad.
So my dad actually is in pretty good health. He's one of the hardest workers you will ever meet in your life. He does concrete, and I swear he can outwork any 20-year-old guy, you know. Um, but he's getting ready to have his knees replaced, and he wanted to lose some weight before he had those done. So he's gotten on the system, and he's gone down from a 2X to a large, and from a size 40 to a 36. And the 36s are loose on him. So I don't think it'll be much longer before he goes down to a 34.
I love it.
So yeah.
And I just love this photo. I love the captions and everything. And
Yeah.
Brienne, coming from somebody, I mean, if you're in this meeting right now, if you're listening to this and you have had a loved one, a parent, an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, a sibling, if you've had somebody die earlier than they should have due to a preventative disease like my dad, for example, then I think you feel what I feel right now when you see her parents and realize that she has probably added a decade or two to their life. And we're just so proud of you, Brienne. We've got to move on just in the interest of time, but maybe 30 seconds. Anything you'd say? I mean, if you were talking to you a year ago, skeptical, scared, not in a good place, psychologically and physically, what would you say to yourself if you were thinking about giving this a try?
Oh, just don't hesitate and just do it. I mean, what the 90-day money back guarantee is, like, hello, just do it. But I would have started sooner because we all wasted some times, where we could have been healthier and enjoying things in life that I just sat back instead of going and doing. So now I'm up going and doing with my kids and playing with them. So yeah, don't wait, just do it. Your health is worth it.
I love it. Thank you, Brienne. Thanks
Yeah.
for being really vulnerable and telling not just your story, but your parents' story here in front of 300 strangers. We really appreciate the chat, giving you a lot of love. So thanks a lot. Brienne, nice to have you on the call.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, if you want to know what it's all about, that's what it's all about. That's why we do this. And if there's somebody you love and care about who is struggling with their health, if you invite them to these calls, they can learn how to fix this. Okay. A lot of what we teach, and we're going to teach the protocol tonight. We're going to get to that in a little bit. We have a guest speaker first, but a lot of what we teach, you could actually do for free. And I don't care if you buy anything or join, like you can do fasting is free. You can drink water. Getting more fiber, getting the right types of fiber in your diet is You can find that at the produce section of the grocery store. And the combination of fasting and fiber, kind of this combo that we do on this protocol, can change or save your life. And if you struggle with dietary discipline like I do and like many of us do, we can show you what to buy to make it way, way easier and to make it so that willpower isn't a problem. So tonight's call is really special. We're going to be talking about how to fix your blood work and make your doctor really, really happy the next time they draw labs. And for this, we brought one of the best in the world at helping people fix their blood work. This is Lindsay Venn, who is a PA and an RD. Lindsay's in her wonderful new home in Belize right now. So she's connecting with us from out of the country. And Lindsay is one of the founding members of the Metabolic Society for Healthcare Practitioners. She has been so generous with her time to come and help us on these calls. And when I think about the experts that we want to learn from, Lindsay comes to mind immediately. So, Lindsay, thanks for being on the call. I'm going to turn the time over to her, and then we'll come back to talk through the protocol, and we'll do a live Q&A. And Lindsay has agreed to be part of that.
Absolutely. Thank you, as always, for the lovely introduction. Let me share my screen so you guys can all see the little presentation I put together for you. Trent had requested that we keep this reasonably simple, but I struggle with that, as you all know who know me. So, but I did my best. So hopefully this is what y'all are looking for. Trent, interrupt me if this didn't come across, but I think it looks good on my end.
Yep.
So heart health and your lipid panel is the topic of the conversation for tonight. And I really just want to make sure when I'm talking about heart health to everybody that you understand what it is that I'm talking about. Because when in the medical world, we talk about heart disease, there's a variety of things that we're talking about here. And so coronary artery disease, I have listed here at the top, and this is the topic for tonight, also known as atherosclerosis. If you've had a heart attack or know somebody who's had a heart attack, that's another name or word for this, or myocardial infarction. Those are the big things that all of those are encompassing of coronary artery disease. And I'm going to get into a little more detail. But what else falls under the heart disease umbrella would be hypertension or high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, which is a fluid overload problem associated with a weak muscle problem, and then any kind of arrhythmia. If you have a pacemaker, if someone has AFib, something like that, those are considered heart disease, but they're not the topic what we're going to discuss tonight because some of these are a little bit different to fix than others. So coronary artery disease, what is this? This is when our coronary arteries, these vessels over here along the outside of our heart, there's 4 major ones, but lots and lots of minor ones, when they become congested with a variety of different things, but the main word that you'll hear is plaque being formed in the arteries, leading to an obstruction or a blockage that leads to that final heart attack. And so when we think of coronary artery disease, or heart disease in the conversation tonight, this is exactly what I'm talking about. And this is the thing that your doctor is very, very likely talking to you about other than potentially your high blood pressure. So why is this important? This is important because it is so unbelievably prevalent. We have at least almost, I guess, 18 million people in the United States who have this that are known. Again, remember that word. These are people who know it. Imagine the people who don't know it. This number probably would double. Why is this an issue? It is the #1 cause of death. We noticed that at least half of deaths, or right about half of deaths, are related to heart disease in this country. So it is a very, very big problem and something that we can certainly address with lifestyle and with different interventions. So the big caveat that I like to talk to people about is, well, what do we know? What causes this? What can we do to prevent this? What is it that we have control over? We know for a fact smoking is a cause of coronary artery disease. 100% know for a fact diabetes is a cause of coronary artery disease. Obesity, because a lot of these are associated with obesity as well. Inflammation, and just like Brianne was talking about, inflammation may not present itself in the form of a heart attack, but it can present in the way your face looks. It can present in the way your ankles look. It can present in how your liver is functioning. There's a variety of ways that inflammation plays a major role here. And as you all know, I'm part of an insulin resistance team that is doing everything in its power to reverse this. as the root cause of all disease. We know insulin resistance leads to coronary artery disease. Please note what is not on my list here. What is not on my list is high LDL. And what is not on my list here is high cholesterol. And so, because we don't know that, there's a correlation, not a causational role, meaning sometimes cholesterol is high in people with heart disease. Sometimes it's not. Does that mean it causes it? We don't know that. And no being the key word, we can assume certain things, but we don't know that cholesterol is associated with heart disease. We do know insulin resistance is associated with it, and we can determine this on your lipid panel. Do you have insulin resistance? Your lipid panel will tell us. So when we look at a lipid panel, what is this measurement? It could be a cholesterol panel. It could be called a lipid panel. There's a variety of different names, but you're going to have these different measurements associated with your lipid panel that is done at least once a year at your doctor with your wellness or your yearly annual exam. And so pay attention to these. If you have record of these, trend them, because trend is super important when it comes to what your risk is going to be. If they get worse every year, obviously your risk gets worse for every year. If they're getting better every year, which hopefully we're going that direction, then they get better every year. But first, before I move on with that, what is cholesterol and why do we care? You know, what is this? Cholesterol actually, when we think of cholesterol, we're thinking of these carrier molecules here that actually carry cholesterol esters. So this molecule here can be an LDL, an HDL, a VLDL, all of these different things. They come in different shapes and sizes depending on what stage they are in. But what I want people to take away from this message is that cholesterol is used for building cell membranes, which is extremely important in our cells functioning. If our cells don't have a membrane, they're dead. So very important for cell life, for essential hormone formation, for synthesis of vitamin D, and for creating bile acids to help us digest some of our important foods. And most importantly, they do play a crucial role in almost everything that happens inside of our body. So lower is not always better. We really want to pay attention to that when our doctor says, oh, your LDL is high, we need to lower it. Not necessarily. You might, but not necessarily. I want you to think about the fact that we make our own cholesterol. If this is something that the human body makes on its own, why would we want to go to extra lengths in order to lower it if it's in the right proportions? So remember that we do make it on our own and we do get a small amount from our food, but cholesterol is essential. Without cholesterol, you will die. It is a very important molecule in the body and something that we want to make healthy and that we want to keep in good control. So how do you know this? This is the point I was trying to get to. How do we know this? Well, we want you to calculate a triglyceride to HDL ratio. And so how you do this, so this top number up here, this triglyceride at 265 and this HDL at 72. So we're gonna take 265 divided by 72. And what does that equal? I did the math earlier, so I didn't have to do it here. It's 3.7. So that's a reasonably high number that we would be concerned about. Here's another one that I pulled off of the internet. This triglyceride is 59. We're going to go ahead and divide it. Apparently 72 is a popular HDL number in the examples I picked, and that is 0.8. So those are the ratios that I want you to take your lipid panel and go calculate. Figure out what this number is now and maybe what it was previously prior to starting Feel Great System, for example, and see where you're at. Well, where do you want to be? These are the numbers. Ideally, if you are in optimal metabolic health, that ratio is less than 1. If you're in pretty good shape, that ratio is less than 1.8. If you need to be worried and you need to be making some major changes to your lifestyle, you are greater than 2. And be aware that the higher the number, the more concerning it is. I have seen numbers as high as 15, 16, 17, ridiculously high, that those people have not only insulin resistance, they have type 2 diabetes that is well on its way, plus they are at significant risk of coronary artery disease. So really pay attention to this number when your doctor brings you your labs. As you can see here, I'm not talking about LDL or total cholesterol. What else can you do when you're talking to your doctor about your cholesterol panel? My dear friend Ben Bigman is part of this article, as you can see here. They came together, Dave Diamond, Paul Mason, and Ben Bigman wrote this meta-analysis to talk about, do I need to worry about my high LDL? I've been told for years and decades and generation after generation that LDL is the number one predictor of heart disease. It is not. Not in isolation. LDL alone is not. And this study goes and shows that. And it says that any kind of statin therapy, both primary and secondary, and that primary means I've never had a heart attack, but because of my cholesterol level, my doctor think I might. Or secondary means I have had a heart attack and now I'm trying to prevent a second one. This is not warranted for individuals on a low carbohydrate diet with an elevated LDL who have achieved an optimal triglyceride to HDL ratio. If that triglyceride to HDL ratio is less than 1.8, you do not need a statin to lower this essential thing in our body that our body produces. So really working on lowering triglycerides, getting HDL elevated, because if you have to think about it, that top number we want to bring down and that bottom number we want to bring up in order to bring that ratio to more of a neutral 1-to-1 kind of level. So how are we going to do that? Because this is what you have control over. And this is the point that we make at Unicity and with the Feel Great system is you have control over this and you can make a big difference really quickly. So what can you do to lower that top number, lower that triglyceride number? Get to intermittent fasting, super, super powerful. Get refined processed carbohydrates out of your diet. They should have no place in being there. Brienne's a perfect example. Soda is a refined processed carbohydrate. Get it gone. It's going to make a big difference. Increase and add some fiber to your diet. You can do that, like Trent said, by way of balance or by way of changing your food intake, a little more vegetables, and get some exercise. This will help bring your triglyceride levels down. The cool thing is bringing HDL up has very similar you can do very similar things. So you're killing two birds with one stone. So get some exercise. That's the best way to raise your HDL. Make sure you're getting in some omega-3s by way of cold water fish or by way of a high quality supplement. Consider some niacin. Niacin, I do recommend you talk with your medical professional about, but it will help raise HDL, which is really important in someone who's had insulin resistance previously. Get rid of those refined processed carbohydrates and get some intermittent fasting in again there. So if you can lower triglyceride, increase HDL, you're going to have a ratio that will improve and become hopefully ideal at less than 1. And then I didn't mention at the beginning, I changed my slides up a little bit. If you need to reach me or if you want help with this, Insulin IQ is where Ben and I work together. And so feel free to go to insuliniq.com. Or if you want to seek me out just on my own, you can go to my website at vennintegrativemedicine.com. So hope that was what you were looking for, Trent.
Not only was that extremely good, it was actually really simple. And I need simple because I don't have the background that you and the training that you have, but that was beautiful. And we're going to bring Lindsay back here in just a moment for the Q&A. But I just want to put a little plug in for Lindsay here. If I was concerned about my blood work, I would make an appointment to see Lindsay Venn. If I was feeling like I'd been working with my doctor for a long period of time and my numbers were either getting worse or staying the same, I'd probably say, "Hey, Lindsay, would you look at my blood work and tell me what you think?" I would definitely double down on the Feel Great protocol that we're about to show you. And I would be absolutely perfect with it. And now perfect's impossible, so let's not say perfect. But I would be serious. I would take it seriously. And if I screwed up for a day or had a bad day or whatever, I would jump right back on. And I've seen this thousands of times now. If you follow the protocol and you use it properly, it will work for you. But if you're taking a bunch of medications, if you're concerned about making adjustments to the Lindsay would be a great resource. I do not benefit at all from telling you that Lindsay is a great resource. Lindsay does not benefit at all by coming to these calls. She's doing this voluntarily, which is so amazing of her. And if you need a second opinion, she would be a great second opinion. Thank you, Lindsay. We're going to bring you back in just a moment. Now, why is everybody getting sick? Why is heart disease the number one killer in the world? Did you know that? Heart disease is the number one killer in the world. In fact, heart disease is now double. It is double the killer that the number two killer in the world is. The number two killer in the world is cancer, but there are double the deaths from heart disease that there is from cancer. What I bet you didn't know is that the number one contributor to heart disease is insulin resistance type 2 diabetes. Okay. So we're all getting sick because of the same villain, and that is the insulin resistance villain. If you have insulin resistance, it's a matter of time before your health turns into whack-a-mole and you have health problems that pop up. And as soon as you go after that one, another one pops over here, and you go after that one. And before you know it, you get overwhelmed by different health problems and different medications for each one of them, right? So, how do we get into this mess? How are we going to get out of this mess? The whole purpose of this call is to help you out of the mess, to help your loved ones out of the mess. It's really easy to get sick if you don't know what you're doing, and it's really easy to get unsick once your eyes are open to this. Okay. So, we're going to go through this very, very quickly, and then we're going to explain the protocol and bring Lindsay back. One of the reasons why everybody is getting sick is because for the last 50 years, they have begun taking something out of food. Okay. Um, Ever since they started doing this, we have lost control of our appetite. We've lost control of our blood sugar, of our insulin. We've lost control of our cholesterol and our triglycerides. And the thing that is being removed is this thing right here, fiber. Okay. I know that you're all very familiar with white rice. It's a food staple in every major civilization. What most people in those civilizations don't know is that wild rice actually looks like this over here. Around every single grain of rice is something called the bran, okay? But food makers remove the bran, that's the fiber, and we only eat the white part. We do this with wheat, okay? Food makers take out all the fiber so that they can make processed food. Now, this processed food is very addictive and it is very inflammatory. Okay. Whenever I don't want to give anybody food anxiety, that's not a healthy thing, but not but, so I won't give you food anxiety. It's important though, knowledge is power. It's important for you to know when we eat processed foods that have been stripped of their fiber, things like white bread, sugar, pasta, cereal, right? Instant mashed potatoes, instant oatmeal. That is addictive and inflammatory. Every sugar, when God decided to make the apple, in fact, when he decided to make the banana, the pear, the raspberry, the wheat, the rice, every single carbohydrate in nature comes packaged in fiber. There is not an exception. God meant for sugar to be put with fiber. And whether you believe in God or not, that, is neither here nor there. Um, Evolution, okay? Evolution designed fiber to be packaged with around sugar. So this apple is basically sugar and water, right? And it's healthy because it's been packaged in this fiber packaging. Now, when you remove the fiber and you juice the apple, well, you get rid of the fiber. What are you left with, right? You're left with sugar water. And this right here is what has happened to the entire modern diet. It's all a bunch of sugar water. Now, even sugar itself in nature comes packaged in a bunch of fiber. Okay. Now, this is not a secret. You can look it up. In fact, every doctor should be having this conversation with, the people that are struggling with these problems, but very few people have ever been told this. Why is fiber so important? And why are they taking it out of our food, right? Well, if you have diabetes or pre-diabetes, fiber is your friend because it helps with blood sugar control and weight management. It can also lower your risk of heart disease, the number one killer in the world, and cancer, the number two killer in the world. Remind me why we're taking this out of food? Fiber is what controls blood sugar. When food makers remove it from food, we lose control of our blood sugar, hence the diabetes epidemic. It's also what protects our heart. Fiber prevents your body from taking in some fat and cholesterol, lowering your triglyceride levels. That sounds good, right? It's what maintains a healthy digestive system. If you have irritable bowel syndrome, if you have constipation, if you have cramps, if you have diarrhea, if you have poor skin health, indicative of poor gut health, if you have poor hormonal health, poor mental health, if you have depression, anxiety, it's often a function of your gut health, and fiber is the key to a healthy gut. One of the reasons why food makers want to take it out is because fiber is the thing that keeps us feeling full. It controls satiety and appetite. And when you remove it from your products, you're going to sell more products because people will eat your products and not feel full. Very good for your business, but maybe not the best thing for the consumer, right? So when you remove the fiber on a population basis, you end up with a population full of sick people. And this is where we are today, right? So the other thing that is curious is fasting. There are books now that have been published all about fasting and how this is a safe, natural, and free way to fight back against things like obesity, type 2 diabetes, pre-diabetes, and all conditions related to insulin resistance. The narrative has been that you can't reverse these things; they're chronic problems, and yet in Fung's clinic, Jason Fung wrote the book on this. In Fung's clinic, people are getting in Fung's clinic at the University of Toronto, most of the patients with type 2 diabetes have a complete reversal of the disease and are off all their medications in 3 to 6 months. How did he do it? He did it with fasting. And no one wants to talk about it because nobody can make money off you fasting, right? So, what we're doing with this protocol, and I promise that this is coming to a head here. What we're doing with this protocol is, I'm gonna go with a different slide today. Um, what we're doing with this protocol is we are combining fasting with fiber. Okay. We're combining fasting with fiber. Let me backtrack a little bit. So you can actually dramatically improve your health by doing the following. And I want to be clear, you can do this for free. You don't have to buy a coaching program or hire a trainer. I mean, like, this is the freest thing. In fact, you're going to save a bunch of money. Okay. You're going to save money. If you've got a tight budget and your health's not where you want it to be, you're going to kill two birds with one stone. You're going to have more money and you're going to be healthier. Okay. So when we do some fasting, we force insulin down. This is good because when insulin's low, the body is extremely efficient at burning fat for fuel. So when you do some light fasting in the morning, let's say you skip breakfast, you're actually not starving. Your body is getting calories, but it's getting them from fat. You are literally shredding and burning that fat. You're burning your love handles for breakfast, right? And actually, it might take a little while. There might be a short adjustment period. Okay. I'm not going to say you're going to feel amazing day one because that's not everybody's experience. Most people, but not everybody. It may take you a couple of weeks, but once your body gets good at burning fat for fuel, once it gets familiar with that, you won't feel hungry. You'll feel fantastic. Your brain will be sharper. You'll be more productive. Okay. And then if let's just say in a perfect world, okay? In a perfect world, if you could prepare a garden salad before each of your meals, I mean, veggies, fruits, seeds, herbs, all the different fibers, all the spectrum of different fibers, there's billions of different types of fiber. If you could get all those different types of fiber from different plants into your diet before your meals, well, blood sugar wouldn't spike, insulin wouldn't spike, and you would feel full, you'd feel satiated. The fiber would help lower your triglycerides. It would help erase the HDL, it would improve that triglyceride to HDL ratio. Okay. It is this simple. Combine if removing the fiber from our diet and if eating and snacking all the time on those processed foods made us sick, a little bit of fasting and a little bit of fiber can make you unsick. And I'm going to give you some proof in just a second. Okay. Give you some proof in just a second. If this sounds difficult to you, if you're like, fasting is hard, that requires willpower, which I don't have. I'm with you, okay? I've failed every diet I've ever been on until this. And the last 2.5 years of my life, I've maintained my health effortlessly. If it is not realistic or affordable for you to have, a lush garden salad before every meal, then we have a protocol that makes this really, really easy. Okay. And I'll explain the protocol that we're going to open up the Q&A. And I want to give you some proof because, there's many of you have not been on the protocol before and may have some questions about it. So what I'm about to show you is going to be disruptive in the medical community. That's probably the wrong word. In the pharmaceutical space for sure. Okay. This is something that has 5 patents on it. Nobody can copy it. These 5 patents are actually owned by a cattle rancher out in Wyoming. So, if a pharmaceutical companies own the patents on this, everybody would be talking about it. But since they're owned by a cowboy, nobody cares. There are more than a dozen clinical studies that prove, some of them done by the Cleveland Clinic, the University of Sydney, BYU, UNLV, Stanford, and a bunch of other institutions that prove that this often works as well or better than medication without any side effects. It is natural and safe. It is also fully guaranteed. Okay. Anybody, like Brianne said, I loved that, Brianne. Anybody that wants to try the protocol can try the protocol, use it properly, be consistent. It will work for you. And you can try it risk-free for 90 days. You can use it for 90 days. And when you go back to your same doctor and you do your blood work again, it will be dramatically, measurably better or your money back. It is also cost neutral. Let me explain that. Okay. So how does this protocol work? It's very simple. 2 steps. Step one, whenever you are fasting, you can sip the Unimate. The Unimate, the compounds that are in the Unimate are like nothing else I've ever seen on the planet. And there is nothing else because it's patented. Nobody can copy it, right? When you sip the Unimate, at least for me, it makes me completely forget about food. I have one right here. I have 2 to 3 every single day, sometimes 4 if I'm really fasting for a long period of time. It blocks out all the food noise. I don't snack. I'm not reaching for peanut M&Ms anymore. I'm not reaching for a Diet Pepsi. It literally makes me forget about food. When you sip the Unimate, the when you sip the Unimate, well, I'll show that in just a moment. Step two, whenever it's time to eat, you have a blend of fiber. This blend of fiber is going to change the world. There are 4 patents on this. Nobody can copy it. The drug companies would get their right eye to own the patents on it. This is a blend of plant fibers that actually helps eliminate the blood sugar spike and the insulin spike. It is clinically proven to lower the bad cholesterol as well or better than a statin with no side effects. And it is unbelievable for satiety and blood sugar control. So it looks like this. If this is breakfast, this is lunch, and this is dinner, what most of us are doing on this protocol is we are skipping a meal. And breakfast is usually the easiest one to do that with. And what happens when we skip a meal? Well, we save $5 to $10 that we were going to spend at Starbucks or wherever, right? And what happens is we take the $5 to $10 that we save skipping the meal, and that covers the cost of the protocol. It's about $5 a day, but it completely pays for itself. It is cost neutral, which means that all of the people that are on fixed incomes, disability, very, very living paycheck to paycheck, everybody can afford this protocol. You literally create the money out of thin air with the intermittent fasting. The wallet gets fatter while the waist gets leaner, right? Now, I went on this protocol. It completely changed my life. This protocol is now in the physician's desk reference. We have multiple doctors on this call right now that are all aboard this, okay? Your doctor has probably never heard of it before. But if your doctor decides to look it up in the PDR, they can see that it's legitimate. The Cleveland Clinic, the #1 heart hospital in the world, said that this product could change the world. In their own words, they said if this is taken regularly, it could reduce cardiovascular risk on a population basis. This call is about heart health. This could reduce cardiovascular risk on a population basis, and this could potentially decrease the need and/or dose for lipid-lowering prescription drugs. Okay, this is disruptive. Decrease prescription drugs. Pretty cool. The #1 heart. This is the Cleveland Clinic. This is what they said about it. They're the #1 heart hospital in the world. Okay. The Unimate raises GLP-1 by 60% or more, without any side effects. It is natural. It does the same thing that Ozempic's doing, where Ozempic and these drugs are raising GLP-1, but you can do that naturally. It eliminates the blood sugar and the insulin spikes, and your doctor can check it out. I'm talking too much. I want to ask your help. I was going to show hundreds, even thousands of messages that I've received, people from this call, many of you, right? But this will be better. Before we open up the Q&A, just do me a favor. There's lots and lots of people that are watching this that have not started the protocol. They're skeptical. Maybe they're scared. Maybe they've tried lots of things. Nothing has worked for them. So do me a favor. If you have started the protocol, I don't care whether you've been on it a week or a month or a year. If you have noticed a measurable positive improvement, and I don't want you to exaggerate, if you've noticed a measurable positive improvement and would just put a sentence or two in the chat, I would love to read some of these so everybody can see what this is capable of. Okay. I'll read some of these. I have not looked at the chat. I'm sorry, guys. This has been, I have a guest trying to get in and can't. The waiting room has been turned off. There's no waiting room tonight. There's, um, okay, let me read some of these. Jimmy Dalio, the Unimate is no joke. The lion in my stomach that needs to eat is tamed. I love that. Clark Villegas says 266 down to 243, down 2 belt notches. Awesome, Clark. Derek Henderson says from 300s to the 100s on the regular, reversing his type 2 diabetes. That's my 83-year-old dad's blood sugar. Amazing. Amazing. I'm a pharmacist, was at first angry that I'd never even heard about insulin resistance, but then I dove in and decided to help educate about it. That's Christy Henderson, a PharmD. Thank you, Christy. We're so happy that you're a part of what we're doing. We love you. Christy's been one of our experts on here before, and it's nice to see you on the call, Christy. All right, let me scroll a little bit. Michael Martin, 4.5 months on the protocol. Holy cow. Michael, I want you to be my guest next week, brother. Michael Martin, 4.5 months in, down 81 pounds, 25 pills per day down to 4, reversing type 2 diabetes, 8 blood pressure pills now down to just 1. Amazing. Derek Henderson says, perfect lipid panel in 30 days without changing my diet. Whitney Harder, down 58 pounds, no more chronic inflammation, sleep apnea, or high cholesterol. My triglyceride to HDL was a 3.6. Now it's a 1.0. Whitney, all of you, I'd love, if you guys want to be a guest on a call, I'd love to have you on a call. These are amazing stories. Jimmy says 16 months on the product, reverse fatty liver and type 2 diabetes, blood pressure, sleep apnea, depression, erectile dysfunction gone, down 88 pounds off 8 medications, and did it without a thyroid. Renee Peterson says, since January, my depression from grief is lifted. My vertigo and inflammation is gone. I'm down 77 pounds, 55 inches. Energy is amazing. Better sleep, off blood pressure meds. I love it. Shirtless Eddie says, I've lost 118 pounds. I beat type 2 diabetes, off my meds, and I feel youthful. Maria Garcia, I have lost 45 pounds and no thyroid pills. Crystal Swan Griffin says my triglycerides are down 216 to 69. My HDL went from 60 to 83. My Hashimoto's thyroid TPO antibodies were at 3,600 and now they're at 9, which is normal. My endo said they would never be normal, but they are. I've lost 58 pounds and kept it off for over a year. Oh, these are amazing. I want to screenshot every one of these. Diana Barnes, my blood sugar went from 450 to 139. That's 450 is dangerous. That's amazing, Diana. Jim Grasser. And Jim has been instrumental in putting hundreds of people now on this protocol. Jim said, I've reversed my type 2 diabetes. My A1C was at 12.2. It is now a 4.8. My mother and mother-in-law have both reversed theirs as well. There are 45 more messages. I would love to read them all. I'd love to read them all. I don't have time to, but this is amazing. This is why we do these calls, right? If somebody would have invited my dad to this call, if we had a time machine 8 years ago, he'd be alive today. He'd know my kids. And I'm really sad about that, but really happy about what I'm seeing in the chat. And this is amazing. And this is what it's all about. So we're going to open up a Q&A. Let me just say, if you have not tried this, okay, we're going to show you that this is different than anything you've ever tried before, right? Now, you can just try to do it on your own. I've tried the intermittent fasting. I do really good on Monday and Tuesday. By the end of the week, I'm cheating and I'm saying, okay, Monday, here we go. We're going to start fresh. I'm going to do better Monday, right? With this protocol, I don't do that anymore. This has been a win for me. And if you just use it properly and are consistent, it will work for you. Um, you can get a discount link. You know, if somebody's invited you to this call, they probably have the same link that they're using. That's their discount link. You can get it from them and get the same discount that we all pay. So, and maybe that's important to say. I am not being given free product by the company. I am not paid by the company to put on these Zoom calls. I order the product and pay for it every month myself. It's been a game changer for me. And I've got an affiliate link that I share with people who want to try the protocol, and it's that simple. Okay, Lindsay Venn, we've got her attention for the next 7 to 10 minutes. Artist Walker says, I've ordered mine and can't wait. Awesome, artist. If you have a question, you may raise your hand. There is a hand raising feature. You may also use the Q&A function. If you have a question, and you're not technologically able to raise your hand or use the Q&A feature, put it in the chat. We'll do our best to find it. The first question is, can you use the product and still eat junk food? That is awesome. It's a great question. I'm glad that you asked it. Sometimes I do that. I use the product while eating junk food. And my wife said it best. She said, honey, that is like brushing your teeth while eating Oreos. Why are you working against yourself? Right. But that being said, we want to meet people where they are. And I know lots of people that have followed the protocol without changing their diet and they've seen some improvement. What I'm really love about this protocol is I don't want it anymore. And I believe the protocol has helped me get to a place where I don't want it anymore. I have a bite or two and then I'm done. Okay. Lindsay, do you have a comment on that question or not?
I did a video today and I thought it was just really a neat way to describe this. It compared your health to a bank account. You make deposits and you make withdrawals. And if you want to live paycheck to paycheck for the rest of your life, yeah, use, Feel Great system and eat junk food. But if you want to make more deposits and save up for that dream house or that dream vacation or whatever it is, maybe make more deposits and less withdrawals. And Feel Great is making 2 deposits every day.
I love it. Lindsay, what's the best advice for a person who has done the protocol for 3 months now, has seen very good results? Should they continue to stay on the protocol? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. Yes. I think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. How's that? If it's working for you, why would you change? So I highly encourage, if it's working for you, to continue. If you don't want to continue for whatever reason, continue the habits that came along with it. More fiber, more fasting, those kinds of strategies.
Thank you, Lindsay. This is a very common one that I hear from time to time. Leanne Albrecht says, can you tell us about heartburn? I have somebody on the protocol that is getting heartburn, not terrible. She's on day 4. I have seen some people in the beginning stages of the protocol struggle with heartburn too. Do you have any thoughts on that?
My first one I would tell you is I get more heartburn with the ginger than I do with the lemon, just personally. And that's just as the ginger part of it. But yeah, no, I think it just is a change in what's going on in the microbiome. I mean, we're healing the microbiome of the gut by incorporating all of this fiber. I think it's a wonderful tool, and it should pass. I would say 95% of my patients it passes on.
Yeah, so if you have any heartburn, it does often pass with some time and consistency. Sometimes I'll have a balance. I'll have the fiber, and that seems to, not me personally, but I've sometimes seen people that have said having a balance helps with that. So you could try that. There's probably a lot of people that are on this call that maybe experienced that early. It's a pretty rare thing, but I'd say probably like 1 out of 20 will have a little bit of heartburn when they, excuse me, when they sip the Unimate for the first time. So, yeah, if you had something work for you, maybe put it in the chat, guys. I am a Paralympic athlete. I want to lose some belly fat and have more energy. Can I still gain healthy weight while fasting and taking this protocol? It seems counterproductive. How can eating less help me gain muscle? Lindsay?
Pick up. So actually, autophagy is huge for losing body fat, body skin, excess skin, and that comes with fasting, number one. But number two, fasting is only effective if feasting, and when I say feasting, I mean healthy food feasting at your other meals. And so meet your protein requirement in your 2 meals or 2 meals and a snack per day, and you will do even better than the three meals or more a day.
Yeah, and Jacksonville, Trayshawn said, he has some belly fat and wants to lose the belly fat, but wants to build muscle. Will this protocol help with that? I love what Lindsay said. And I also just want to say that when you're fasting, when insulin comes down, one of the counter-regulatory hormones that goes up is HGH, or human growth hormone. And the function of that is to help protect your muscle. So that, when you're fasting, you're not eating your own muscle, you're eating your own fat. So you mentioned you've got some belly fat. The fasting will help with that. And then, like Lindsay nailed it spot on. Hit your protein goal, eat plenty of good, healthy food at mealtime, and I think you'll accomplish your goal, brother. Great question. Um, I do not have a problem with fasting all day. I didn't take my thyroid medicine. It makes me sick if I don't eat shortly after I take it, and if I take it this late, I won't sleep. Advice. I'm gonna need to reread that.
Well, and that's probably one that needs to go to your doctor, but all thyroid medication should be taken away from food. And if you can't take it away from food, you need to speak to your pharmacist or doctor.
Artist Walker, does this product interact with anti-rejection meds for a kidney transplant? I can just give you a blanket answer, two blanket answers. Number one, if ever in doubt, you should always consult your doctor. I'm not a doctor. Lindsay's not your doctor, right? So you should always talk with your doctor. However, in the physician's desk reference, when your doctor looks it up, they will see that there are no drug interactions. And that's because there's no drugs in this protocol. So it's not like you're having to account for that. There is some fiber in this. There's a little bit of caffeine in the Unimate. So, your doctor could look at those things and give you an answer. What is the strategy for backing off of DM meds, including insulin what is the strategy for backing off of diabetes medications, including insulin, as you start the protocol? I want to avoid highs and lows. What would you say to that, Lindsay?
I would strongly recommend you either work with your doctor or find me, seek me out. I'm more than happy to help. There is a definite need to back off of insulin if you're going to go low carb and fast. And so you don't go at this, willy nilly. You need to have some good advice so you don't hit lows.
Mario Portal, I tried this for 2 months. My weight was more than 320 pounds, and after 2 months, I haven't noticed any difference. What could be wrong? I feel like I'm doing it as they told me to do it.
You want that one? You want me to take that one?
Uh, if you have thoughts, feel free to chime in.
Sure.
So two things. One, give it time. You know, I did not see any progress on the scale for 5 weeks. And then it just like accelerated. It was awesome. I saw progress. So give it time, use it properly, be consistent. The other thing you want to make sure you're doing is when we skip a meal, when we're doing the fasting, it's important that when we break our fast, we have a regular meal, not a super mega jumbo. Hey, I didn't have breakfast, so now I'm going to have breakfast and lunch for lunch, but just have a regular meal. And you want to look at what you're having at your meals and make sure that those are normal meals, not jumbo meals, right? Because when you're fasting, your body wasn't deprived. It was still getting calories. It was getting them from fat. And so it'll be okay. Just have a regular meal. Those would be my 2 cents. Lindsay, you're the pro. What would you say?
I always just say, remember how long it took you to get to where you're at? It will not reverse. If it took you 20 years to get there, it will not reverse overnight. Just be patient. It does happen. Just be patient and consistent.
Okay, we are out of time. If you have additional questions, we hope you're going to come back next week. This has been awesome. We're so glad to have all of you on this call. Lindsay, Venn, thank you very much. Brienne in Indiana, that was amazing. Your story is what this is all about. Folks, if you have somebody that you love, somebody that you care about that is struggling with their metabolic health, invite them to next week's call. They will thank you later. Thank you so much, Lindsay. Thank you, everybody in the chat. This has been really cool, and we'll see you guys next time. Adios.